everybody. Thank you for jumping on. As you see this broadcast, do me a favor, drop your city and your state, like, share, and tag. My name is Eric. I am coming from the Blanks Spot. Blank Spot is the sublimation blanks supplier located in Columbia, South Carolina. We also provide our customers with eco-solvent, ink, and supplies for eco-tanks, and also uh, HTV. We are authorized resellers of Stahl's vinyl. The reason why I'm coming on today is because I want to talk to you about what I think that you should consider, some things that I think you should consider before starting a sublimation business, before starting a sublimation hobby or a side hustle. No matter what you decide to call it, guys, just my lighting. No matter what you decide to call it, whether it is a business, a side hustle, or a hobby, there's some things that you're going to need to consider. So, once again, my name is Eric McKinley, coming in from Columbia, South Carolina, guys. We do have a storefront. It's located at 224 O'Neill Court, Suite 26 and 27. Our website, you can see it in the description. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, you can see that in the description. But our website is theblanksspot.com. That's THEBLANKSSPOT.com. And as I do that, I'm going to be doing some sublimation as well. I'm going to be selling some items. We're getting ready for an amazing event. We're getting ready for the Black Expo here in Columbia, South Carolina. So I'm super happy about that. Also, I want to wish my beautiful wife a happy birthday, guys. If you have not stopped by our social media platforms and wished her a happy birthday, please do so. Wish her a happy birthday. My wife's name is Dee. Feel free to drop by our store and buy something. That's going to be some of the greatest things that you can do for us as business owners. Go to our website and purchase something. Okay. So that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Some of the things that I think that you should consider before starting a side hustle, a business, or a hobby. So stand by. I got to take care of a customer. Hey, welcome to the Blank Spot. How you doing?
Good.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate you. Take care. All right, sorry about that, guys. I'm back. I won't be editing this video. I'm going to be letting it roll. So let's go ahead and go. If you got any questions about starting a sublimation hobby, side hustle, or business, please drop it in the comments, and I'll be happy to respond to the comment. But now, if you're just joining us, my name is Eric McKinley, coming in from Columbia, South Carolina, and we're going to be talking about some things that you should consider before starting a sublimation hobby, a sublimation side hustle, or a sublimation business. So here's the thing, guys. Before you get started with your sublimation journey, the first thing you need to do is you need to get on social media, do your research, and understand what sublimation actually means. That's the first thing. A lot of people won't tell you that, but I'm not a lot of people. We're not a lot of people. So I recommend the first thing that you do is you get online and you do your research about what sublimation is. Okay? You need to understand what sublimation is and the science of sublimation. Once you understand that, then you can decide whether you want to pursue starting your sublimation business, your sublimation side hobby, or your sublimation side hustle. Okay? The three are different. Okay? Some people are going to think that they're all the same, but they're not. The three are different. Now, once you have researched and understand and know the definition of sublimation, you now have to decide on the equipment that you're going to get. This is the most challenging part of the sublimation process, deciding on which equipment that you're going to use. Now, there's a lot of people who rely on others that are actually doing it to tell you which items to get. I strongly encourage that you don't do that, because everything is not for everybody. Everything's not for everybody. If you're starting a hobby, you may not want to purchase a printer because you're going to need a printer. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the things that you're going to need for sublimation. you're gonna need, if you're gonna be totally independent, here's some things that you're gonna need for sublimation. The first thing you're gonna need is you're gonna need a heat press. Okay, I recommend that you get a clamshell or a some type of pull out. Okay, some type of swing away, clamshell or swing away. All right, and you know, don't beat me up too bad if I don't get the terminologies totally correct. Sometimes I have a lapse in memory and I'll forget. But you need a clamshell, something that can pull down, or a swing away. Okay? Do not, I repeat, do not, unless you're just gonna be a hobby and you're still gonna be limited, do not totally rely on just a easy press. Relying on an easy press is going to limit your ability to grow and build a hobby or a business, okay? Because the one thing that you cannot control, the variable that you cannot control, is the pressure when using a easy press. So I recommend a clamshell or a swing away. Okay, that's the first thing. The next thing is you're going to need a printer. If you're going to be totally independent, you're going to need a sublimation printer. Now, there's a couple of answers to that. You can actually purchase a actual sublimation printer, or you can purchase a printer that can actually be converted to be used as sublimation. The two are different. If you were to purchase a printer that can be converted to be used as sublimation, your cost is going to be noticeably different. It's going to be very, very different. If you were to convert a printer to be used as sublimation, you're going to save on some money as far as making your initial purchase. However, you run the risk of having a couple of issues or concerns. One issue or concern that you're going to run the risk of is that if you're doing this for a business or a side hustle to make money, your colors are not going to be the greatest if you convert. Okay, colors are not going to be the greatest. Also, some issues that you're going to have is that when it comes time to actually start maintaining your printer, it's a different maintenance schedule that you have to be concerned about. Okay, now if you decide that you want to get a printer that is, and I'm not going to make the choice for you, I'm not going to tell you which is best. If you decide that you want to get you a printer that is going to be converted, just know that converted printer is not made for sublimation. Hey, what's going on, Ronnie? Thanks for jumping on. Guys, if you're jumping on right now, do me a favor. If you haven't done so, stop by and say hi. Stop by and wish my wife a happy birthday and drop your city and state. I am talking about some things that you're going to need to consider before getting started in sublimation. Now, if you get a printer that's converted, those are some things you got to think about. Now, if you get a printer that's an actual sublimation printer, you're still going to have to do maintenance. Now, I don't know the whole story about this next printer that I'm going to talk about, the Sawgrass printer, but I heard, you got to do your own research, I heard that the Sawgrass does maintenance, does self-maintenance. I'm not sure how true that is, if you keep it turned on. I'm not sure. But with it having self-maintenance, you're still going to have to keep it turned on, which means it's going to be electricity. That might be something that might be easier for you, but it may end up being more cost effective in the long run. I don't know. Okay, we don't have a Sawgrass in here. We don't carry Sawgrass. We only have Epson printers in here. Some are converted, and we have an actual sublimation printer. The next thing is you're going to have sublimation paper. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, paper does matter. Your paper is going to determine how your substrate, or for lack of better terms, I'll make it simple, how your project is going to come out. And I will let her know. Thank you, I appreciate it. Your paper is going to determine how your project comes out. Why is that important? Well, if you're doing this to make money, you obviously should want to have the best product for your potential customers. All right? If you're doing it for a side hustle and you're doing these gifts for your family and friends, if it's just you're giving it away, it may not matter as much. But if you're doing this for a business, you may want to make sure you do this for you do this as a you do this in a more professional way. Okay. I don't know. I can't even answer that. I'm just giving basic information. I'm giving basic information on what you need to think about and consider. I'm not giving out what's best, guys. I'm not gonna play the game and give out what I think is best. I'm gonna tell you what I think you should consider before you get started. And that one thing is you need to do your research. So if you're just jumping on, the first thing I said was you should consider doing your research on what sublimation is. That includes checking out the different products that are out there. Of course, there's going to be some reviews that are going to say certain things are better, and they're going to tell you why. But it's going to be up to you ultimately to make the decision because it's your money that you're spending. It is your money. So once you decide upon a heat press, whatever's in your budget, once you decide upon a heat press, once you decide upon a printer for sublimation, you got to decide on the paper that you're going to use. Now, this may take some time. There's no one quick, easy way to decide upon paper. The good thing about paper is you can try out different types of paper. You can try out different types of paper, and you can see what type of ink release that paper is going to give you by trying it out. Okay, once you decide upon a paper, you're going to have to, of course, you're going to decide upon ink as well. Okay, now you cannot just switch out ink unless you have cartridges. Unless you find a printer that you're converting that has cartridges, you cannot just switch out the ink. So that's going to be a challenge. So sublimation ink is different from pigment ink. It's different from any other ink. It's a dye, so it's made to be infused, and it's made to transfer to the substrate in a gaseous state. So once you find your press, your printer, your ink, and your paper, you have to have some design software. What design software are you going to use? Why am I going through all this? I'm going through all this because there's customers that are always coming either in our store or on our platforms asking us, how do they get started? What's the best this? What's the best that? How do they do this? The best thing to do is to do your research. You're going to need some software to design. If you're not going to be designing yourself, then you're going to have to find someone who creates designs. It's going to either be digital designs that you can download and keep and use and reuse and make sure that you can actually sell them, or someone who's going to actually create for you. Okay. I've named about 5 things so far. So this is not as easy as a lot of people may make it seem and sound. There's a lot of preparation that goes into getting started in sublimation. It's not just getting a design, having a heat press, and actually going and pressing. Okay, it's not just that easy. It's not that simple. Now, once you've decided that you're going to have a printer, that you're going to be pressing yourself, once you decided all that, you now have to understand the temperatures for each substrate. A substrate is basically the item that you're going to be sublimating on. There's different surfaces that are out there. There are wood surfaces. There are MDF surfaces. There are fabric surfaces. There are metal surfaces. So you're going to have to know the time and temperature that works best for each surface. And truth be told, every substrate is going to look different when you actually sublimate on it. Every substrate is going to look different when you sublimate on it. Let's see. What else? What other things are there to consider if you're starting a sublimation hobby, a sublimation side hustle, or a sublimation business? The temperature and time is going to be important. Also, you're going to have to factor in the pressure. Okay? Pressure is very important as well. If you don't use enough pressure, your design will not transfer. If you don't use enough heat, your design will not transfer. If the temperature is not high enough or hot enough, your design will not transfer fully. If it is too hot, your design will burn. If the pressure is too heavy, if there's too much pressure, then you can leave tape marks on your design. And I'm glad I said that because you have to choose the right sublimation tape. Choosing the right sublimation tape is going to determine whether you actually have residue or tape, residual tape marks on your substrate or not. Some tapes, specifically yellow tapes, have historically left not just tape marks, but residual tape on the substrate. And it's generally yellow tape. It's generally yellow tape. And I don't know if you guys can see me, but I'm actually using yellow tape. This tape that we have came from our vendor. We have this tape on our website. Our tape does not leave those yellow marks. It does not have that yellow transfer when you sublimate it, okay? So we don't have to worry about that. We did our research. Temperature, time, tape, pressure, that's important. That's the beginnings of starting a sublimation hobby, a sublimation side hustle, or a sublimation business. Now let's talk about some of these printers. When we talk about a sublimation printer versus a printer that can be converted to sublimation, this question came up probably about an hour and a half ago on a post that we made on one of our platforms. And the question was, and I'm not sure if that viewer is watching right now, but the question was, we sell 812XL cartridges and chips for the Epson Workforce 7310, 7820, and 7840. And their question was if they can just buy the replacement chips and the ink from us. Well, yes, you can. But the better question should have been from that person, what do I need to expect when converting a workforce printer? What can I expect when converting a workforce printer? When converting a workforce printer, you're going to need refillable cartridges, okay? You're going to need refillable cartridges for your printer. And do me a favor, guys. If you're on YouTube watching right now, I can't see you, but I do see some eyes. If you're on Facebook watching right now, I can't see you, but I see some eyes. Just make sure you share the broadcast. If you're finding some value in it, make sure you share the broadcast. Also, drop your city and state if you see this at a later time. If you're on any of our other social media platforms, make sure you like what's going on. If you're finding some value in it, make sure you're liking it, because this allows other people to see what we're doing. And this is a way of supporting our business without actually purchasing from us. As business owners, specifically smaller businesses, we already know that most individuals have their own vendors. They're already comfortable with the people that they're going to purchase from. They use platforms like this to become informed and hopefully become educated. That doesn't mean that they're going to do business with us. But we're going to share anyway, guys. We're going to share anyway. So now that you have gotten your setup, you want to think about some things you're going to do. But let's finish talking about these printers, okay? Converting a workforce printer, and I'm not going to go into detail with the types of printers specifically and which ones can be converted and which ones can't. You need to do your research. But most people are using either Epson printers or they're using Sawgrass printers. And it is because the way that the printer is configured and the way that the sublimation ink actually works. Okay, not going to go into detail. So now, let's say you're using an Epson printer. That's the printer that you've chosen to use, and you've chosen to use a printer that you're going to convert, and it happens to be a workforce printer. A workforce printer has cartridges. You're gonna have to make sure that you have cartridges that are refillable. Some of the cartridges, all of the cartridges need chips. All of the cartridges are going to need chips. That's something that you're going to have to understand. If you think about it, when you initially get your printer, you take everything out of the box and you have ink, you're going to see the chips on the edge of the cartridges. So that means that that means that printer is going to need refillable cartridges with chips. Now I understand that some of the terminology that I'm using is going to be foreign to some people. That's why it's important that you go and do your research and you get spun up and become educated on the verbiage. So when people start talking, you won't be looking like a deer in the headlights. You'll understand what they're saying. So you get a workforce printer, you decide that you want to convert a workforce printer for sublimation. That's conversion. That does not mean that that printer is made for sublimation. That means that that printer can be used for sublimation. All right? You're going to do that. So now some people are using Epson EcoTank printers. An Epson EcoTank printer is a printer that has a ink well or a tank or tanks, so to say. And they're not using cartridges. The cartridges have to be filled up with syringes, needles, right? But the EcoTank printers, they don't have to have syringes. You just have to use the top of the ink bottle, you push it down, and the ink just sucks in, okay? Why is that important? It's important because the very last thing that you're going to need if you're going to start a sublimation hobby, a sublimation side hustle, or a sublimation business, the thing that you're going to need that we didn't talk about, actually the first thing, but we didn't talk about this, is time. You're going to need time because the only thing out of all those things I named, the hardware, the things that I named, well, the two pieces of hardware that you're going to need is the printer and a heat press if you're going to be independent. Those two things, out of those two pieces of hardware, one of those things need to be maintained, which means you're going to have to be able to do maintenance on that printer. That printer needs maintenance. And if you don't have the time to do the maintenance, then I strongly encourage, recommend, and suggest that you don't purchase a printer. See, when starting a sublimation hobby, a sublimation side hustle, or a sublimation business, you're going to need time to maintain your printer. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because it is true. There's a downside to using and operating a printer when you don't have time. And the downside is that printer is going to clog. The ink is going to clog up in the printer. So you have to use that printer on a regular basis. You have to use that printer on a regular basis. Now, if you're not using that printer on a regular basis, you still need to print at least once a week. I recommend no less than twice a week, at least once a week. But I recommend no less than twice a week. You're going to need to print at least a test page. A test page is going to keep that ink flowing. A test page is going to keep that ink flowing in that printer, and it's going to stop that printer from clogging up. Okay? It's going to stop that printer from clogging up. But if you don't have the time to do the maintenance on the printer, then I recommend you not even purchasing a sublimation printer. That's my opinion. That's my professional opinion. I recommend you don't even waste your money on purchasing a printer if you're not going to have time to maintain it. I know ultimately people want to be independent. They want to do what they want to do. They want to be able to print when they want to print. They don't want to have to be able to depend on anybody else, and I get it. However, what I will tell you is that you set yourself up for failure, and you put yourself in a position not to succeed when you basically just buy things just because you buy them. Now, this is your money, and you do exactly what you want to do with it. However, if you want to be able to continue to print, you got to have time to maintain that printer. You got to have time to maintain that printer. Starting a sublimation hobby, a sublimation side hustle, or a sublimation business can be rewarding. There are some pros to starting that hobby that side hustle and that business. If you decide to start a sublimation hobby, that means that you're able to make items for yourself and for your family. That means that ultimately you can save some money. Okay? If you are the type of person that's good with your hands, and that's something that you like to do, and it makes you feel better by doing it, well, by all means, do it. But there are some drawbacks to actually doing it and not being prepared to have the time to maintain it. So, guys, I'm going to do a pause real quick. My name is Eric, coming in from Columbia, South Carolina. The name of our company is The Blanks Spot. We are a sublimation blank supplier, authorized reseller of Stahl's vinyl, and we are also eco-solvent ink and suppliers for EcoTanks. Once again, our store is located at 224 Allendale Court, Suite 26 and 27. That is Columbia, South Carolina, 29223. Our website is theblankspot.com. That's TheBlankSpot.com. Today is my wife's birthday. So happy birthday to Miss D. She's celebrating her birthday, guys. And if you have not done so, slide over to one of our platforms. It doesn't matter which one. Slide over to one of our platforms and wish her a happy birthday. Wish her a happy birthday. And also, in honor of her birthday, she had been given some sales. So you guys probably missed it. If you didn't pay attention, we did do a YouTube. We did do some other social media. We were on TikTok, Facebook pages, and groups. And she did put some things on sale. Not sure if she's going to continue to sell today or she's going to choose some other things. But regardless of that, go on a website. Purchase something, okay? Purchase something. It doesn't have to be anything big, but purchase something. All right? I am currently sublimating keychains. I'm sublimating keychains, okay? And we're getting ready for the Black Expo in Columbia, South Carolina. And I am super duper excited about this. So I got the UPS guy out there. Y'all keep on double tapping and stand by, okay? It's rude. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am back. Like I said, I'm sublimating keychains. These are MDF keychains. They are made of wood. They are two-sided, and this is what they look like. This is the swag that we're going to be sharing at the expo. If you guys are in or near Columbia, South Carolina, definitely come out and check us out. Definitely come out and check us out. I hope you guys got some value out of the video. The video is live. You can actually go back on our YouTube channel and check out the video. It will not be edited. Everything that you've seen here, you'll see it again there. If you're just jumping on, you'll be able to go back and see it. But I wanted to share with you some things that you may want to consider before starting a sublimation business, a side hobby, or a sublimation side hustle. There's some very important things out there to consider, guys. So you guys hang on. I'm going to be with you in a minute. You guys right here, I want you guys to take in consideration that there's a lot of things to consider. Getting a printer may not be your best option. It may not be in your budget. Getting a sublimation printer is going to be a little more costly. Okay? Just a second. Getting a sublimation printer would be a little bit more costly. Sublimation printers start in size-wise at a smaller format, 8.5 by 11, and then they go up to a wider format. The most cost-effective sublimation printer may be about $399. That's a smaller format. However, as you go up, you're talking about 11 by 17, 13 by 19, and then you go up to 24 inches wide, 44 inches wide, and higher. Those printers are more costly. So it may not be in your budget to get an actual sublimation printer. I don't know. But just check out your budget and see what it all entails. But the first thing starts with actually doing your research. And doing your research should not consist of asking somebody. It should consist of you going out, doing some reading, doing some digging, and then getting in some of these groups and getting involved and trying to find out somebody you can actually trust with some information. Once again, my name is Eric. Like I always say, when we know better, that's when you have the ability to do better. And the only knowledge that's powerful is properly applied knowledge. Make sure you like, share, tag, go to our YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified. And I will see you all at the top because there's too many people struggling at the bottom. Peace.